I've been predicting AI for years, like where it's headed, like where I think it's going to, there are companies doing this. I don't think they're where they need to be today. 5 years will be different. So for instance, your cable goes out. You got to call someone from Comcast.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the Philippines or India. Nice people, but annoying. Like, just don't read me the script. Just come on, get on with it, whatever. It's going to know that you're analytical and you need information. I have ADD and you have like 90 seconds or you lose my attention.
Right.
You like a girl with a Georgia accent. I like a girl with Australian accent. So when you call, it's going to be, hey, Jim, how's it going? What can I do for you? You know, and you're just like, shit, I'll spend 2 hours on the phone with this AI bot.
Supposed person.
Right. So it's going to be a better experience. You can scale indefinitely, right? So if you get one call at 12 o'clock or you get 1,000 calls, it's just expansion on on the cloud. You don't have to worry about staffing issues.
Right.
From the business capital of the world, the Big Apple, New York's Middle Tennessee, it says here.
Yeah.
Sounds riveting.
It is.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
Mostly. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Matt Wilson. I called him Matt Carey. That's his old radio name back when I met him in 1997. His name is Matt Wilson, and he's got a podcast called the Mostly Marketing Podcast with Matt Wilson, and I kind of borrowed the Mostly moniker from him. This is a podcast about Middle Tennessee entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals, and real conversations that we have around all different things, their histories, their challenges, their worst days, their best days, whatever may come up, but we try to make it as free-flowing and just a real conversation around different Middle Tennessee business owners. And just like I said, this is a video and audio podcast. You can check us out at MMTBP.com. MMTBP.com. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with Jim McCarthy Voiceovers and it'syourshow.co, where you can get podcasts like this and intros for your podcast. So check us out there. And today, if you're in the restaurant industry or catering in business, this is a good episode for you to listen to, because this gentleman that I'm having on today has invented an app and a technology that makes that business a lot easier. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Michael?
You are 1,000% correct.
Nice. I like 1,000%. It's better than 100. Mr.
10 times better.
At least. Mr. Michael Attias, thank you for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
I met you on another client of mine's podcast, and it was utterly fascinating to kind of sit there and listen to your expertise and your experience, especially your history and how you kind of came to inventing and developing this technology called Catering. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get into all this, and what kind of sparked your entrepreneurial bug in the beginning?
Being poor.
Being poor will do it.
That will do it.
Yeah.
My parents went bankrupt when I was about 10 or 11. So why are you going to ask for money when they're yelling about the power bill? So you learn how to hustle.
Were you aware of that in the beginning, that, hey, if I'm entrepreneurial, that'll solve a lot of problems? It's also going to create a lot of problems, but
I don't know that it's ever created any.
No?
No.
I mean, you were employed by somebody at some point, weren't you?
Sort of. I mean, in high school, college, but
first job kind of thing.
I think I've been, I think back the earliest entrepreneurial recollection I have, I'd say it's sense of adventure / enjoying money, or I don't know what you would call it, but we lived in Memphis, Tennessee. In Memphis, when I grew up, I lived a charm life. We lived in great neighborhoods where kids my mom would throw us out at 6 a.m. and if you're thirsty, drink out of the garden hose.
Right.
Kind of days. And I was probably 6 years old. There was a non-Cana creek in Memphis behind our house. And the kids would go play in the creek and, nothing bad happened. And I saw these green rocks and I thought, damn, this is jade. Like, I've hit the mother lode. I mean, how does a 6-year-old even know what jade is or that it's valuable, right? So I filled a baggie full and I made my mom take me to the Clark Tower jewelry store, and I walked in, I put the rocks on there, and I thought for sure, like, man, I was going to be rich.
Mom, I'm buying you a house.
No. No, I wasn't going to buy her house.
No house, Mom.
It was all about me.
Mom, I'm buying me a house.
I'm going to buy me a house. I'm tired of these rules. Peace out. And the guy was like, no, it's, whatever kind of rock it was.
Right.
I was deflated, but I've always had that, I don't know, entrepreneurial. I think when I was 10, my buddy and I raked yards. I think we made a dime for a whole day's work.
Right.
Sold greeting cards, babysat, cut yards.
So you hustled from a young age.
I did. It was more about the freedom than it was the money.
Yeah.
When I used to cut yards, 2 yards, 2 hours, made $50. And that gave me enough money to go play tennis, swim, eat lunch, watch soap operas, shoot pool at the Jewish Community Center. So it's like I was more about lifestyle than, money. My dad worked his ass off.
Yeah.
Left before we woke up.
Oh, so you saw like him working for somebody else, making somebody else rich kind of thing.
Yeah, just, he worked 5.5 days for his boss. And then, when things were tough, he'd have to work. You work in a factory and you take care of the machinery. So if something goes down, you're not going home at 5 o'clock. You're not punching time clock. You stay till it's done. They're running multiple shifts and stuff. And it's like, then he went out on his own, had a bad business partner. And it's probably half his own fault. He didn't get his own attorney, didn't know what he didn't know. And I think he could have made a go with it with a better partner and maybe some better business acumen.
Yeah.
Went bankrupt, and I've enjoyed my own thing. So start off washing dishes, worked for a company called Corky's Barbecue, and I've always been I think entrepreneurs are problem solvers.
Right.
And hopefully you solve a problem you can make money off of.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I worked at Corky's, I think the owner just ran the other way when he saw me, because I was always like, hey, Don, if we do this, hey, Don, what about this? What about this? I know the general manager, she didn't want anything to do with anything different. She just shot all my ideas down. She was out of town one day. We had a drive-through window. This is before, you had remote screens and whatever. Like they literally would hand write the ticket, walk down 3 feet, hand it to the guy in the kitchen. And I was like, this is a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
I moved the registers closer to make it easier to take orders. And I think I put in a string and moved them down. And when she came back from vacation,
you were looking to efficient size things.
I don't like to work.
Yeah.
You don't get extra money when you go to the bank and say you worked hard.
Right. Well, it's working. I think it's Brad Lee that talks about working. The notion of working hard doesn't have to mean you're out there like sweating your you-know-what's off.
Do you see calluses?
I know calluses.
No calluses.
I'm working on my calluses. I want to get them back because I play the drums and I need to earn them back. So I have a lot of dead skin on like some of my fingers and my thumbs, but it's been a while. So
that I understand. I'm just talking about work. I like to work smart. I like to think efficiently because it's just the way I'm sort of wired. And so when I worked at Corky's, they did a ton of catering. Like the phones were ringing. They have 3 people in the office taking orders. And every day they're asking people the same. They had no database, right? Why are we asking these people their name and address and credit card number? And why are we manually tracking everything, like quantities? Simple software could fix that problem. So I had the idea way before I got in the restaurant business.
But I mean, you weren't a software. You had to find somebody to develop the software, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I like to call myself the architect, not the builder.
Yeah, you're the visionary.
The visionary.
The visionary.
Yeah. So when I had my restaurant, I talked somebody in back of me on a Corky's Barbecue, and they did a lot of catering. I did a lot of catering. I pushed the catering. We did $1 million a year, a third of our business out of a 104-seat restaurant. Started teaching other restaurants how to get in the catering business and double their profits.
So you increased from what to $1 million?
Zero.
From when to when?
It was a startup.
Okay.
1992 started it from nothing.
Oh, wow.
So $1 million, I sold in 2005. $1 million in catering it's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot. And our prices were pretty low for barbecue back then.
In the 90s, I would think so.
Sold out in 2005, but still, it's a lot. So did a lot of direct mail, direct marketing to build the sales.
I did a lot of advertising with the management at Corky's when I came to town. So I guess whoever you sold to is who I worked with, because I came to town in 2005.
Yeah.
And they advertised a lot on Mix 92.9 and Jack FM.
Was that Denise Head?
Yes.
Roger Head's wife. He's an old Shoney's guy. His son, Chad Head.
Chad Head, that's right.
Ran it up.
Yep.
And they owned Chago's at one point.
Okay, yep.
So good people. Was glad to be done with it. Got divorced or sold, got divorced.
Right.
And then I bootstrapped the software company because I had a following in the restaurant community. I spoke at conferences, had coaching groups. I basically had a whole info product on how to build your catering sales. So it was very extensive and good stuff, but there's no residual. And that's what I like. There's a guy named Paul Zane Pilzer, read about him in College and Inc. magazine. He talked about intellectual property. It's like, you build it once. Like the first book Tom Peters sells is the most expensive copy. Everything else is $2 worth of paper.
Right.
And so I just like licensing, royalties, the idea of residual income.
Right.
And software is sticky. And so I've loved the business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of that business, when you come up with something like that, you have the monthly recurring because that's the only way to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Whether you're getting a royalty check or software or rents or whatever. And the great thing about software is each additional unit costs you nothing.
Right.
I mean, it's on the cloud, so it costs you next to nothing. Credit card processing.
Right. And then there's the aspect of so it's almost like a CRM, and like around this time that we're recording this, the automotive industry is going through quite a challenge right now. Have you heard about the CDK debacle?
No.
Okay. So basically, I want to say CDK is almost similar to CaterZen, but just for the automotive business. But they didn't really protect themselves. So I think they have like CRM, accounting, billing, payroll, all those different roles of a dealership wrapped up with this one company that has been doing it for probably decades at this point. They got ransomware hacked. I want to say last week, and the people that did it are demanding $1 billion. The last I heard, and it's one of those things. I'm like, you pay something like that, they don't go away. They got their hooks in you. That's an interesting challenge that they're navigating, and all these dealerships have had to go back to writing things by hand. Wow. I mean, they're back to the Stone Age right now.
I mean, if I had $1 billion to pay in ransomware, I think I'd just quit.
What do you do? I mean, it's like, okay, guys, let's be realistic. We can't afford something like that. Can we? What's your second option?
Is this up for negotiation?
Right. But I mean, all these dealerships, they're depending on, it's challenging to buy a car. Not that it wasn't already challenging enough to buy a damn car, but now it's like you thought it took long before. Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So for every positive, there's a negative. Talk about AI. There's a lot of great stuff, but there's going to be a lot of crap that comes out of it that we're going to be dealing with.
Oh yeah. But I mean, as CaterZen, do you avoid that kind of stuff with the technology? Like if you had an opportunity, I don't know how you could integrate AI into something like that. I mean,
it's easy. I mean, it's on our drawing board. So think about this. Let's take something simple. You run a business report, right? Like, how much did I sell last year? Okay. Go deeper. What did I sell?
Right.
Hey, 55% of my sales was this one package. Should we raise the price? Right. Should we change our packages? There's things you can do. There's a lot of psychology in pricing.
You can run simulations almost, I would think.
No, before you even get to that, but just more like, like the Rendezvous. Are you familiar with the Rendezvous in Memphis? Ribs?
It rings a bell.
Yeah, they're famous. Dry ribs, basement, downtown, great place. Grew up on it. And what they would do is, let's say a full order of ribs was $20, a half order was $17. So you're thinking in your head, I'm not hungry for the full, but for $3, I'm getting the full.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you can do with pricing, right? And then also you look at your sales. My sales are up, they're down, whatever. And then you tend to look at, well, which customers haven't ordered in a while?
Right.
Well, do you really care about that? Or do you want to look at why people aren't ordering or ordering less. So there's a lot of levers. There's velocity. You used to bring in lunch every Friday for your crew, and now it's every other week.
Right.
Is that because you've got financial hardships and you're ordering tacos one week, barbecue next? I don't know. I need to find out. Maybe you're spending less per person, right? You're still ordering the same frequency, but less per person. Maybe you have fewer people. Maybe so you can, with AI, you can crunch a lot of different variables.
Yeah.
What about sales? You and I sell catering for a barbecue restaurant.
Right.
Your sales are higher. So everyone thinks Jim's a sales superstar. But if you look at the check average, Michael outsells you by 20%. You just have more selling opportunities.
More volume.
Exactly.
Right.
So you need to be coached on how to increase your upsells and not get them on and off the phone quickly. I need to be coached. How do I find more people to sell to?
So it's almost like, being able to see, getting a snapshot of your business on a surgical, precise level in a way.
It's almost like an MRI.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than surgical, it's 3-dimensional with all the planes and whatever. And so anything you can think about.
And Catered Zen already does this.
No, we've got it on our drawing board. I mean, everybody's adding AI. Like if you're not adding AI to what you're doing, I mean, it's like
you're left behind.
You're going to be left behind. Yeah. And it's just getting better and better and better.
Does your garage door sound like this? If it does, it's screaming for help. Call Incredible Doors, 931-348-DOOR. We're making garage doors in Murray and Williamson counties work better, sound better, and, spring better. We just make them incredible again. Incredible Doors in Spring Hill. For when your door's springs break, you need remote reconnections, opener installation, or just about anything to do with your garage door. Go to IncredibleDoors.com or call 931-348-DOOR. Follow us on Facebook for specials on maintenance visits, keypads, and other items. 931-348-DOOR.
I've been predicting AI for years, like where it's headed. Mm-hmm. Like where I think it's going to... There are companies doing this. I don't think they're where they need to be today. 5 years will be different. So, for instance, your cable goes out. You got to call someone from Comcast.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the Philippines or India. Nice people, but annoying. Like, just don't read me the script. Just come on, get on with it, whatever. It's going to know that you're analytical and you need information. I have ADD and you have like 90 seconds or you lose my attention.
Right.
You like a girl with a Georgia accent. I like a girl with an Australian accent. So when you call, it's going to be, hey, Jim, how's it going? What can I do for you? And you're just like, shit, I'll spend 2 hours on the phone with this AI bot.
Supposed person.
Right. So it's going to be a better experience. You can scale indefinitely, right? So if you get one call at 12 o'clock or you get 1,000 calls, it's just expansion on on the cloud. You don't have to worry about staffing issues.
Right.
And so there will be a time for customer support. And I think in catering, I'm not going to have to call and worry, do I get hold of somebody? Don't get hold of somebody. It's going to be an AI.
This is the call center business has got to rethink their model from what it sounds like.
We have some people in the Philippines do customer support for us.
Right.
I'm friends with the owner. He is a older Jewish pot smoking, bourbon drinking hippie.
Right.
He makes a lot of money.
Right.
For running a call center.
Mm-hmm.
He works with small companies and he works with international banks and software companies you would know the name of. I'm not going to tell his name because it doesn't matter, but I've told him, I said, hey, are you looking into AI? He goes, no.
Oh, wow.
And I would be, and maybe he's old enough that he's like, who cares? And I've got more money than I can spend and my kids can spend. So if AI takes over, I'll just shut it down and go to the beach.
Yeah, but how many people work? Well, I guess even though the people that work for him, they're kind of in trouble too.
Well, that's why we're going to have a universal basic income, like literally universally, right? Because way back when, the savages would just burn down the town if you weren't taking care of them, right?
Right.
Well, now, think about this. If 15 or 20% of the world is out of work, let's just say hypothetically, there might be something else that comes. I don't know what it is. It's like everyone says, when this happen. The factories put people out. It was realigned. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Right.
But would you pay an extra 10 or 15% in taxes to keep your house from getting burnt down?
Right.
So I think you're going to have that. And, you see where robotics is headed. I saw this machine. It's like a masseuse.
You saw that too? I was just going to say. I saw the exact same thing.
Yeah. And so they're going to, I know in the fast food industry, they're working on robots.
Right.
They can flip burgers and whatever. Like I've always said, all the problems in the world are people.
The thing is that I'm saying the trades will probably be the ones that are safe.
No.
Electrical, plumber. You think robots are going to be doing that eventually too?
Eventually, you'll have nanobots that can go in like, just think about this. You've got this nanobot that's the size of a quarter of a pack of matches, right?
Right.
And it can go through the conduit, pull the wire, do this, do that. It can analyze stuff you can't do now, right?
Right.
So it's going to just get better and better. I think I would hate to go to med school today because let's just say I was the king of AI, right? Mm-hmm. I would build an AI, at least primary care physician service, and I would work with the best medical device people in the world. And just think about a VCR at your house, and the insurance company is going to give it to you. You're going to pay $99 a month. Like right now, healthcare is expensive, right?
Right.
It's going to go down because what's going to happen is you'll pay like a subscription service like Netflix. Oh, $99 for your family. And you have this device. And when Timmy doesn't feel well, you prick his finger, you get some blood. It's going to look down his throat. It's going to look in his ears, look up his nose. It's going to listen to his heart. It's going to listen to his breathing. And you've got this AI doctor that knows what every doctor on the planet knows, all the crazy crud that could happen with your kid. And it's going to say, oh, well, here, take this. Amazon's going to bring a drone. It's going to go to the lab, get analyzed or analyzed at home. And now it's going to say, hey, he's got strep throat and we're going to drone in the prescription.
Right.
Why do you need a doctor? Why do you need to go to the office? Do you really want to go to the office when you're sick?
Right. Do you think we're going to be, the future looks like WALL-E, the Disney movie?
No, I don't think so.
People getting around on like little scooters because they're too big, that kind of thing?
No, I think science and technology, I don't have a goal board anymore on my wall.
Right.
For 3 years I put, and this is still my goal, I will live to be 120 with a sharp mind and a good body. Because I think where science and technology merge, we'll be able to hack aging, muscle. They're already 3D printing pancreases and all sorts of crazy stuff that they're testing. So
what kind of material is that made out of, though? I mean, the 3D printing stuff, I see like the houses being made.
I don't know, probably maraschino cherries because they never disintegrate.
But the material's got to be right for that kind of a thing.
No, it's genetic material. I mean, I've seen where they 3D print Wagyu beef. So I don't know how they do it, but they're going to, so if you need a new eye, right, you're just going to grow one in a dish, or you have a bad valve, right?
Right.
You don't need a pig's valve, or you don't need a heart transplant. You're going to 3D print one, and they're going to put it in, and they're going to fill you out the telomeres, all this stuff. So we'll kill each other, but at least you can live to be longer. I think we're going to get to that place.
We're going to have like 10 billion people on the planet if people live longer.
We have so much capacity right now.
How many people can the earth really hold? Actually, what they say that the entirety of the world's population can fit in the greater New York metropolitan area? I heard something like that.
You go high up enough, wide enough. I don't know. This is the deal. Like they used to say, oh, you can only grow X number of bushels per acre. They figured this out. They'll figure out what's underneath the ocean. There's just stuff. We don't know what we don't know, but we've always figured out how to get what we need and go. I think we have more to worry about of the decay of civilization and us killing each other more than...
Right. Well, that's inevitable when you have that kind of population growth. People lasting that long.
Well, I'm just talking about just people being assholes and wanting to kill each other. I've always said there is not prejudice between people. It's between religions and politicians. Like the average person... And this is dating myself. I used to say, do you think the average person in the Mideast wants to fight? No, they want to come home. They want to have a blockbuster movie, Domino's Pizza, and a Budweiser. Because everybody, at the end of the day, you're a father, you have kids, you got a family. What do you want? You want a roof over your head.
Basic needs.
Basic needs. You want to be able to go fishing. You want to be able to watch TV. You want a little peace and quiet. What these politicians are doing, I don't give a crud about.
Yeah.
And so I think the average person, it's not the average person that's the problem. It's the politicians, it's the religion, it's all the...
And money. Money always has a part to play in it.
Yeah.
The whole country was founded because of money. Was it be the element of, freedom, quote unquote, and land ownership and things of that nature, but it was mainly money. They were tired of getting taxed.
I got to tell you, if we had never gotten taxed more than the T tax, we probably would have come out better.
It would have been, if they didn't have
a lot cheaper.
If that catalyst didn't happen,
but
it would have looked a lot different.
But is there a better system on the planet?
What we have?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not averse to our system at all. That's what I'm used to.
I don't think communism is better or socialism. I definitely think
communism comes at the end of a gun.
Yeah, I think if you look at all the great advances is because of capitalism.
Right. Letting humans do. But here's where it's like the theme of the human heart spiritually is where it goes off the rails. Like you've heard about people who accumulate great wealth, it amplifies who they are. Right.
Amen. I've said that.
Right.
There are people in my life, I said, if you gave them $1 million, they would just take what they're doing.
And it would be disaster.
And it would be magnified. And if you take somebody who doesn't have a lot of money and they're generous and you gave them $1 billion,
they'd be benevolent.
They would be very benevolent.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And I believe, it's very funny. I was raised Orthodox Jewish.
Right.
Not super practicing, but, we went to synagogue. We turned on the lights.
Right.
We did what's called high treif. We'd eat shrimp out of the house, but not in the house.
Right.
Kind of thing. And so I'm more spiritual than religious. And I think money has a mind or a brain, and it goes where it does the most good.
Right.
And so I think on some level, the people are blessed, and this isn't everybody, but knowing that, if I give this money to wherever, they're going to do good. They're going to help build a cancer hospital. They're going to help find a cure for something. They're going to help fund a church, a school, some nonprofit, the symphony, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the money looks at this person and goes, they're a schlub. Their paycheck doesn't last 3 days. Why am I going to bless this person with more money? Because it's not a good steward. So whether it's on a metaphysical, just on a high level, I truly believe that.
I think there's an element of that. I also think that, those who get lucky with money are the ones who work for it and hustle for it. It just depends on what their motivation is going to be. I know plenty of people that are aspiring to be billionaires because that's, in their mind, the new millionaire level. They will... One person in particular talks about, well, I just want to get to this point so I could start helping other people. I'm like, well, what's preventing you from doing that now? You can totally do that with the amount of wealth that I know you have. $100,000 or even $1,000 would go a long way for somebody that's just thinking about starting a business or bettering themselves.
But some people have big, audacious goals.
Sure.
And so I work for time. Yeah. Time's the one thing that a billionaire can't buy more time.
Right.
He could in theory, but if you're busy hustling and overseeing all these things and you're working a gazillion hours to keep it all going, you don't have your time.
You can buy the time and sense of, delegation and getting things done through other people.
Right.
Or systems. In this case, CaterZen, it helps caterers become better and more efficient.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's a lot of ways. So there's two things we wanted to do with the system because I've got a sales and marketing and operations is how do we help you save time, be more efficient, and then how do we help you increase sales? So there's a lot of stuff built in our software around increasing sales.
Right. And is it based on fundamentals you've used in the past, or do you read other books and things of that nature?
I mean, I would just say,
is there training modules that come with it?
Oh, it's a whole, we put them through a training program. So we have, when I first started, it's like, oh, here's a training session. Call me if you want to learn more.
Right.
But then we do sort of an onboarding call. So let's say we have 13 things our software does on a high level.
Right.
So I'm going to say, Jim, what are your A priorities? Mm-hmm. What are your B? What are your C? So we're going to train the A's and schedule time. Then when you're ready, we'll do the B's. And if you want the C's, we'll examine those. And then we have self-study.
Yeah.
Like we have videos, and we're going to it's called Story Deck or something. So as opposed to making you sit through a 3-minute video on how to take an order, it literally clicks you from move to move to move.
Interactive training.
Right. A lot quicker.
Right.
And so somebody who can learn quick doesn't have to sit through 3 minutes. He can just flip to the next follow the dot, right?
So they're learning by doing in a way.
Correct. But you're just seeing from one screenshot to the next, or moving you down through the form.
Interesting.
Type of thing. And then there's, if you need more information, you can hit a bubble to understand something.
Right.
So everything's just getting, technology is making everything easier.
It is. And it's sometimes.
And we buy as much as we don't buy as much as we sell, but we're a big consumer of technology.
With, when did you start the idea for Caterers then? What year was it?
In college.
Oh, so it was even way before you were in Corky's.
When I worked at Corky's,
yeah.
I had the idea of seeing how screwed up their operations was.
Right.
I just wasn't, I didn't have the hustle to do it. Or
having the idea to execution, when did that happen?
2000. I had the ideas for years, but I actually stroked the check in 2006, launched in 2008.
Oh, wow.
It's about 2-year development.
And then you launched it. You had, tell me about the confidence you had in it, because how big of a check did you stroke, if you don't mind me asking? There was a catalyst, right?
30,000.
Oh, hey, that's not too bad.
It wasn't bad at all.
Was that a scary check to write back then for you?
No, it was pretty low to be in the software business. Right. And I turned down $100,000 in funding right after it launched. A guy had just sold his software company for like $12 million. And I knew him. My stepdaughter and his stepdaughter were friends. They were having a glass of wine. He goes, show me your software. He goes, man, this is great. Next day, he calls me up in the morning and goes, look, I love your software. I want to put in $100,000 and buy 10%.
Right.
And I said, let me think about it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't have something. Usually you're either raising money because you need to fund construction of something.
Right.
Or I have the formula figured out and I need fuel for the fire, right? So I need your $1 million because I know I can scale my sales efforts, and I don't have the $1 million to front load, all this sales staff and systems.
Right.
I didn't know what I didn't know, and it took a lot of zigs and zags. And I think being an entrepreneur isn't about getting it right the first time. It's more like, we had a lot of zigs and zags in our business, and we continue to zig and zag because not everything you do is a home run. It's a learning experience.
Right. I mean, occasionally you do get those glimmers of hope that it's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you're hoping it's not a train.
I mean, I'm eating steak these days, so yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, in the first, you started essentially in 2006, brought it to reality in 2008, let the public and the world know about it. You're shouting it from the mountaintops. I always say there's about a 5-year run in anything that you do. That's like the proving ground.
I say that as well. It takes about 5 years to really start cash flowing in a startup.
Right.
Now, I did have an advantage in that I had been promoting info products and courses to restaurant owners. So I had a big database. So when I launched, I had instant customers.
Well, you had the strategy going into it. You know exactly how you were going to execute the marketing plan.
And honestly, my technology was ahead of the curve for the restaurant industry.
Right. So it was almost like you knew what the next volumes were going to be as the train or the plane was going down the runway.
I knew where the industry was headed. And the other thing is the Gretzky quote, how do you know where the puck is, or something like that? And he goes, well, I skate to where I think the puck's going to, or know where the puck's going to be.
Right.
And so you have to look at, there's always new technologies to be considering. Like we talked about AI. here's another one I would have never thought of, in 08. There are third-party delivery services that will deliver your catering. So let's say you have Jim's Deli and you got 10 orders going out tomorrow. You got a banging deli, right? And I call you up and said, hey, can you deliver me lunch? And you're like, I don't have any drivers to deliver the food. Well, in our software about to launch, you can hit a button, contract out with the third-party courier, and they'll show up and deliver for you, and you don't lose that business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. But I mean, in the beginning, you said it was ahead of their time. Or ahead of the
right, but what
industry.
I'm saying, as you move on, you have to be thinking, what's the next?
Yeah.
So you've got AI. Like 5 years ago, in my mind, I'm like, I want to have AI voice in our system to be able to take catering calls, so they don't need to have employees taking catering calls. So just imagine you had an AI bot, can do everything. It can make follow-up calls. It can take catering orders. It can do follow-up, like literally run your whole catering department, and then I'm charging you 50 cents a minute or whatever it is, right?
But I mean, but in the beginning of this in 08, you knew exactly where the restaurant business was and where the puck was, so to speak. But you also knew that your technology was probably somewhere in 2012, 2013, 2014. So like there was the adoption
Actually,
curve, right?
Honestly, I really thought I was at the right time, but in hindsight, I wasn't.
But if you overwhelmed the restaurant industry with all things that this thing could do, would it have been too much for them? Do you think?
Probably, because if you think back then, the person who owned the restaurant was probably 55, 60 years old, and technology was a 4-letter word, right? Yeah. So then it's their kids and now grandkids that are getting in the business. Technology is not a question. It's a mandatory thing, right?
Right.
So people's adoption of technology in the restaurant, they're always behind the curve on technology.
Right. I mean, if you look at Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, when that started coming out, who would have thunk it? And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot, that you would be telling your kid to get in some stranger's car and they would actually take you someplace. We typically told them not to do that.
Exactly.
You know? And he remembers his father, who knew he was they're Russian immigrants, if you're not familiar with them. And he was a naturally born entrepreneur. He called himself like a little Tony Soprano. He would set up like lemonade stands around his neighborhood, not just one, but multiples, and have his friend run them. And he's like, I'd go around on my big wheel and collect at the end of the day. So he had that bug early on and knew exactly who he was. But his father got into the wine and spirits business, mostly the wine. And when Gary got involved, he also knew a lot of people in the livery business, transportation. And Gary would tell them, he was probably in his mid-20s, he says, look, there's technology coming down the pike that's going to make you guys obsolete, so you better get ready for it. What do you know, kid? And they told him the exact same thing, and now here we are.
Exactly.
And it's like when Uber and Lyft, there had to be some sort of a mindset for the consumer you had the people who were early adopters that were like, yeah, my personality will drive me to try this thing out. But then there were people like me that I was like, well, I'm going to be more towards the top of that curve. You know what I mean?
And then when you think about the genius of it, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it makes sense. They were unprofitable. I don't even know how profitable they are or aren't, but they weren't. The ultimate play, as my understanding is when you have autonomous vehicles. Yeah. Think about how much money they're going to make, right?
Right.
I forgot the service out in LA. They have the autonomous vehicles running around.
But that's the thing, is that Airbnb and Lyft and Uber are these types of companies without owning the assets of vehicles, because the ownership was done by the user.
Right. But
does that mean the autonomous vehicles are now going to be assets on the books? I guess it would have to be.
Well, I think you've got a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Number one is, let's say you own, I heard Elon Musk talking about, you own a Tesla, right?
Right.
And when you're sleeping, your Tesla, or you're on vacation, and you say, hey, it's in the pool. So your car is making you money without anybody, right? Again, goes back, the biggest problem in life is people problems. Why do I want a driver that smells like pot that I got to refund the order or deal with some BS, or he runs into somebody or whatever?
Bad attitude.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make more money. The driver's getting, let's see, he's getting 25, 30%.
Yeah.
Right. We can keep all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, the car companies like the Teslas are going to go, hey, we'll lease you the cars. It's got all the technology. So whether it's on their books, it'll probably be a lease because it's a straight write-off.
Right.
And then the car companies are going to love it because it's like, I know Uber is going to buy 2 million vehicles next year.
And that's the thing is, at that point, mileage really, I mean, they got wear and tear on the vehicle and things like that. Figuring out who covers the maintenance and upkeep and all that stuff.
There's just a lot of stuff. I'm ready for drones because it's like the Jetsons with a propeller instead of a jet.
Yeah.
You're going to have, imagine you live in Murfreesboro, there's 6, 7, 8 lanes of traffic up in the sky. You can get to Nashville in a third of the time.
You're going to have to, they're really going to have to monitor that because you've got the whole drone industry is under attack right now. The FAA has made it pretty much mandatory that if you want to fly a drone, even for basic hobbyist use, you got to have a Part 107 license.
Unless it's under 250 grams. Which
doesn't matter.
They changed it?
It's got radio ID on it. You got to make sure that you can be, someone will come and find you. And it's a $10,000 fine if you don't have.
I thought it was, I've
heard that too, but I've taken the courses and they're like, yeah, that's off the table. I mean, they're going after DJI right now because they're made in China. And there's like spyware and stuff like that in these drones.
They're not going to see much from me, but I get it.
Yeah.
So it's, they're going to figure it out because, I mean, it's just too much of a game changer.
Yeah. Technology is a freight train that doesn't care who's standing on the tracks. And that's, with the drone industry, it was interesting because I was going to get my Part 107 just so I could do video shoots and stuff like that. But it's like, if finding the time to go through and it's general aviation knowledge, like learning airspaces, that kind of stuff, class A, B, C, D, all that stuff, which is fascinating to me. But I'm like, I don't have the time to sit down. And I just, if I had nothing else to do, I would do it. But that's not my life right now.
I'll tell you what's cool. I've got a place down in Florida, down on 38, and I'm walking, and you see these people fishing all the time.
Yeah.
This one guy, he's got $10,000 worth of gear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not even big into fishing, but it's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And
he's got a drone probably overlooking.
He's got a drone that is it's like probably 20 pounds.
Yeah.
They take out a kid's head, decapitate a kid, and he literally is taking that bait and he's going out 100 yards, 150 yards, dropping it. He caught a 7-pound shark one night. I mean, it's just crazy. Like
sometimes they're pulling the fish out of the water with the drones.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So it's just, he bought a toy that cost him probably $6,000, whatever it cost him. But when you have a hobby, who cares? Right. I mean, you've got to. Everybody has something they spend stupid money on.
Totally. For me, it's drones. But I mean, it's a lot of I can understand why the FAA has put like really stringent rules on this thing because, man, you really have some freaking boneheads out there. Guys that will fly drones over active NFL games. It's like, what are you doing? You can't do that.
Do you know Robert Hartline?
Rings a bell.
He does an EO podcast. Matt might have had him on his.
Okay, yeah.
So Robert's an early adopter. He had a drone like years ago. He flew his drone over the fireworks over the river. He ended up getting publicity about it.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was
it was like really cool because you saw them up close exploding.
Yeah.
And it's like, as long as it's over the river, one of those things could take out your drone and you're $3,000 out.
Well, and then it falls and kills grandma and
that's what I'm saying, over the river.
Now I will tell you, I'd rather see a drone show than a fireworks show. Have you seen that stuff?
Those are incredible. I've never seen them in person. I've seen them on YouTube.
I've seen them on TV. Yeah. It's like, man, that's got everything beat.
Well, I mean, eventually AI is going to do that too. It's I just look at all the different shows that they do and I go, oh my gosh, the setup. How many drones you have to take out of cases. I mean, because they have hundreds of them in these shows, It's like the blisters on your fingers, unclipping the case. That's what I think about, the inconvenience.
And some schmuck forgot to charge the battery in drone number 102.
God dang it, come on. Yeah, that's crazy to see how that is kind of evolving.
Oh my God, it's not the 4th of July celebration, it's the apostrophe first.
Okay, give us a couple hours. In a couple hours, it's going to be July 5th, guys. Come on, let's just get on with this. So you launched it. It's 2008. Tell me, what was the first iteration of did you always have a hopeful expectation of Caterers End to be? Did you just know that it would be successful, or was there always every entrepreneur's got that. Well,
no, failure wasn't an option. I just got divorced, lost a shit ton of money.
Right.
Failure wasn't an option. And I knew I'm very good at running efficiently. Like, I have an ego, but I don't have an ego like, I need fancy offices. I need a CEO, a CTO, all the trappings of a big company. We run very efficiently. So we've been profitable very early on.
Right.
And I've always run that way. And so I really wasn't worried about it. And I didn't have partners breathing down my neck, right? Like if I had VC funding, they're like, okay, you got to get
return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where me, it's like, I don't have goals. I just have directions.
Right.
Like, we're headed here.
Yeah.
If we don't hit it, doesn't matter. Again, I'm still going to eat steak. I'm still going to get on a plane and travel. I'm still going to enjoy my life. That's more important than, like if you made another 100,000 next year, is it going to change your life that much?
Right.
Some people would, but I mean, if you're relatively successful, it's just, So I'm not working for the money. I like the challenge and building something.
Money is a tool that allows you to have, it allows you to get from your have to years to your get to years, is what I kind of call it. Most people work to get to their get to year. This is when I get to do the stuff.
You know what? Even when I had Corky's, I was enjoying the journey. I'd take off a couple afternoons during the week and go sailing. I didn't work weekends and nights very often. I've just always, my time was more valuable than any amount of money somebody can pay me.
That's almost like not a luck thing. I'm sure it has a lot to do with your skill. But, the restaurant business, as you know, is not a fun business to be. And for probably you, it was. You were kind of cut out for it.
It wasn't.
Was not?
Operations, I'm good at the systems to run the operation.
Right.
And good at bringing in the people. And I was good at picking up catering sales.
Right.
So I'd use the catering sales to hire an operating partner, so I didn't have to deal with the day-to-day crap.
Right.
So for me, it's, it was definitely, the old saying of overnight success after 40 years. Started off as a dishwasher.
Right.
Worked my way up, learned everything. So for me, I've always tried to figure out how to bring people in to do the things that I don't want to do, I'm not good at,
right,
and focus on enjoying the journey and high value activities.
Well, that's the pure mind of an entrepreneur for sure.
A lot of
day
them,
to day.
Yeah, but a lot of them, they grind it out 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They think it's a badge of courage, or they don't know how to turn it off. Like, I know how to turn it off.
Right.
Like, I know how to nap. I know how to watch TV in the middle of the day. I know how to go do cool things or do nothing.
Right.
And I know how to work when I need to turn it on and do the work.
But even the startup of the business,
this is the deal. So think about this. You're trying to build a business. You don't have any money.
Right.
Well, how much can you do with no money? You don't have 40 hours of work to do when you don't have money.
Right.
So, you do what you can do. So, I didn't have the money to hire a team of developers. I couldn't hire 12 people to build software.
Right.
So you build it with one guy and it grows slowly. I didn't have a big ad budget to go out there and say, we're going to put $100,000 in Google AdWords and go negative 2 years to get a customer. I didn't have that.
Right.
So it was a lot of organic, a lot of
making phone calls.
No, I didn't cold call. I hate cold
Not
call.
cold call, but your existing network, the people that you know.
I would do webinars.
Oh, really?
Multiply myself. Send out emails, blog articles,
Did you have any mentors kind of helping you along, or books, things of that nature that you absorbed?
My whole life I've been reading business books. I used to go to the bookstore and read business books and subscribe to Inc. magazine and went to seminars. So I've had a lot of people I've learned through. And, as a kid, I always hung out with older people, whether it was older kids in school, like in college, one of my best friends was like in his 40s, owned a jewelry store and a jewelry wholesaling. They manufactured stuff and sold them wholesale.
Yeah.
And, and then when I was older, I had kids. I was friends with a guy in his 80s who built houses. He had owned a factory, sold it, and built houses. And I learned so much from these guys that have, they had the scars, and just, it's almost like listening to your grandfather. Like my grandparents were in Europe and didn't really have a relationship. And you just want to tell me that story again. And just listening and learning from them. And part of it, it's the story, but part of it is learning how to think outside the box. Like there's this guy from Colombia. Well, he's not from Colombia. He had a factory in Colombia and he owned an apartment complex. And I'd sit down with him at synagogue on Saturdays. They'd have a lunch and I'd sit with him all the time and just have him tell me stories. He goes, Michael, I have this apartment complex and I've got a CPA. I hired my own CPA because, you got to keep up with the money. And every day I come in and he gives me a daily report and he tells me how much these vacancies are costing me. So let's say you have a vacant apartment on day one.
Right.
$30 in the hole. Tomorrow I'm $60 in the hole.
Yeah.
90. Oh, here's another one that gets added. 30 plus 90 is 120. So then the next day, so he's got this spreadsheet. So he knows what his run rate is of having these vacancies. It's not just like, oh, we got unit 102 and 204 empty.
Yeah,
it's like
it's real dollars.
Right. So he's sitting there looking at that stuff. Or, hey, I built these houses and I figured out that if I spend an extra $1,100 on things in the house, it adds $10,000 worth of perceived value to the buyer.
Right.
So just learning how to think, like that.
Well, I mean, being around it is such a blessing. You're just absorbing it all.
Yeah.
And that it trains the way you think.
Honestly, if you're poor in this country, it's your own fucking fault.
Buddy, I agree with you. There's so many ways to make a buck.
I mean, give me a lawnmower, give me a paintbrush.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to be a gazillionaire.
But you can do something.
You can do something and you can enlist other people to help you. And I think it's just, do you have the hustle?
Yeah. That's like here, we, by the time this comes out, it'll be public knowledge, but, we're in the primarily the commercial lighting space, initially with the RGBW full color lighting space for car washes mainly, but expanding into other verticals as well. There is a longer sales cycle that comes along with something like that. In the car wash industry in the past couple of years, it's been a lot more fruitful because capital was freer flowing and stuff like that. And it was a CapEx kind of expenditure to increase their asset. And it was a race to keep up with the Joneses because all these car washes were putting these entertainment type of nuances and functions into their facilities. So the kids would like to go to the fun car wash with the light show and things of that nature. So we're a vendor, a big one to the car wash industry. But again, you get dry spells. So now we got to make sure we're keeping our team busy. So now we're getting into the garage door business, and it's like, okay, let's make sure it's, visibly congruent, which it kind of sort of is.
How's it congruent?
It's congruent for us because we have a team in place that's capable of doing the work.
So are you talking about like a builder builds houses and you sell them the garage doors?
Repair and maintenance of existing. So you do the math on it.
Dude, that is a racket.
Right.
No disrespect.
No.
I remember when I had a spring break on my garage door and I called. At the time, it was the Yellow Pages.
Yep.
10 businesses are owned by the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew that.
I don't know if that's around like that here. There's a lot.
No, this was I was in Brentwood and literally I called and it's the same people had different businesses to this perception of competition.
Really?
Like, yes. And what they charge to fix a spring and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you don't do new, you're just doing repairs.
Well, I mean, if it new makes sense, we'll do replacements, repairs, put up, garage lifts, things of that nature, spring replacements, because springs break about every, 7 to 8 to 9 years. This is the average.
So is it pretty much SEO and pay-per-click is how you're getting business?
I'll let you know. Which right now we're tiptoeing our way in. We'll just do local Facebook pages, put out, a post a week, let people know we're here, work with existing people that we know, that kind of thing.
So do you want a free tip?
Sure.
Company called Nearby Now.
Nearby Now.
So
writing it down.
They integrate with our software. We integrated with them. So think about this. Most searches are local in nature, right? Like if I'm typing in garage door repair, Google's going to say, oh, this company is located in East Nashville. We're going to give you that versus one in Thompson Station.
Right.
So what they do is they give you code to put on your website. And it's twofold. There's the check-in, right? And so your technician does a check-in on his app. We automate it in our software. So it says, in East Nashville, Tennessee, replacing a spring on a ABC. What's a brand of garage door?
Amar
garage door, right? Or replacing the motor on a Norelco, whatever it's called, right?
Yeah, LiftMaster or something like that.
Right. So now Google's picking up keywords like LiftMaster, the brand name that you're servicing, right?
Right.
Because I might say need a garage door remote for a whatever brand, right?
Right.
And then after your tech does the job, assuming the customer's happy, sends a request to do a review. And it's only like four questions you put stars on, and if you want to do write a few comments. You don't have to have a profile, you don't have to check in, you just fill it out, and that gets fed into your website. And so you have a page for every geographic area. So it could be, ABC garage door repair, and then you've got a page for Lebanon, one for Thompson Station, one for Spring Hill, one for Franklin, one for Brentwood, one for Nashville, one for Bellevue, all these areas. So when your guys go out to Bellevue, the check-in's in Bellevue. And so if I'm in Bellevue, you're going to have, Nearby Now has a lot of SEO juice. So it's like a Trustpilot or something like that. So you're just going to start to rank organically because you have all these check-ins and all these reviews tied to the part of town, and also garage door brands and things.
So it's almost building pages affiliated with your website to get that SEO.
It's doing
hack.
It's reviews on, it's check-ins and reviews on steroids to get SEO juice.
Wow. Yeah, I'll look into that. Thank you.
It'll more than pay for itself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, again, we're just getting into it at the time of this recording. It is literally still formulating.
You're not going to do laser light shows for car washes?
Well, the funny thing, you should mention that we have another product that we're launching. This will be public by this time too. It's called Cave Light, and it was an idea born of another garage door guy. He says, do you have light because we make a lot of our own lights. Can you make a light that's got a magnetic backing that we can just pop onto the garage door track? And I'm going, holy crap, how did we not think of that? So Cave Light solves that problem. Problem being that most garages don't have enough light. They've got a little A19 bulb.
The bulb, right.
Not much light at all. Our product, you can actually mount to the garage door rail, so you get light on both sides of your car when you pull in, which typically the garage door blocks the light.
So it's an LED bar.
LED bar, 4 feet long.
And it taps into the power of the garage door.
Bar right into the garage door opener. So when the garage door opener pops on, the lights come on. So you
hardwired into the opener?
It's literally you screw in the little bulb socket thing.
Oh, so it's pulling the power from the bulb, and when it turns on, and then. But how do you keep it on longer? You're not worried about it.
You can have the timer on it. You can actually set your timer on your garage door opener to be as long as you like. And it's
magnetic, so you don't have to worry about screws.
It takes you literally for the layman, someone who's minimally mechanically capable, maybe 12 minutes to put 2 of them up.
Dude, I need to build a garage to buy one. I live in East Nashville. That's genius. You need to be on, it's easy for me to tell you what you need. Shark Tank or QVC. That is a QVC product.
It is. It kind of is. And it's one of those things that, it's also expandable. So you can actually put these things and daisy chain them, pop them up on your ceiling, and you've got lighting for your entire garage.
Do they magnetically attach?
You would have to actually put screws into the ceiling or anchors.
No.
But they're
how do the lights attach to each other?
They're waterproof connectors, and they're made from the lighting fixtures that we have existing. And the whole package for a pair of them is not that much at all, But the magnetic aspect of it for attics. Think about I think about real estate agents. They sell a house. Hey, I'm going to throw these lights in as a parting gift. Thanks for buying through me. That stupid light you have in your attic, I'm just going to replace that, and it plugs right in. Bam, 2 lights light up your entire attic. It takes 2 minutes to put in.
Dude, I mean, my brain thinks in 3D.
So
that's definitely a great summer business for a high school or college kid. Go not door to door. Let me put in attic lights for you.
Sure.
I'll unscrew the bulb, put these in.
Crawl space too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're both ways. You can hardwire them. You can put them, you can plug them in. So they're all interchangeable. So like one of the things that we had a challenge was a lot of the new garage door openers have LED lights already built in. There's not a screw-in bulb. So like in mine, I'm like, okay, how do I get around this? $20 item from Amazon. It's literally a little motion detecting thing that I popped in there, plugs right into the same outlet that the opener's plugged into. And I could set the timer on it and it still picks up motion.
Wow.
So whenever I come out into my garage, my lights come right on. It's incredible, buddy.
Dude, love it.
That's the thing, is that we're going to probably be able to combo that with the garage door business. Hey, buy a new opener, we'll throw in a pair of lights. You know what I mean? Do you want fries with that?
But you don't even have to throw it in. It's an upsell.
It could be an upsell. It could be a closing tool.
And if you upsell 25 to 50% of the homes, that's where you double, triple your profits.
Right. And even, getting in front of crawl space guys, because these are great solutions for crawl spaces that, some of those crawl spaces you can just walk into. And I know a guy, he's like, well, I just put the construction lights down there. I'm like, dude, why would you want to do that?
Well, those are halogen and they're dangerous.
Well, they're still, you could still do LED lights in the actual, they're still LED powered. So they're not going to put out the temperature. But ours are more,
it's funny you mentioned crawl space. So I've lived in my house 10 and a half years, last 3-4 years, problem with the AC freezing up, and they've done all this stuff.
Yeah.
Came out Saturday. Luckily, I got someone out after a gazillion years of the same service company. The supply line, 2 feet, whatever, going to the upstairs was pinched underneath the sewer, the round PVC drain. And it's like, really? You didn't figure this out before?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe they needed those
cave lights, man.
Exactly. Cave lights.
Cave-light.com.
Is Captain Caveman available to do the endorsement?
We were thinking about different conceptions and things like that with, first God created the world and, then there was light and it wasn't, the kind of light we needed. We were going to do some fun things with that, but I'm like, let's just get, typical problem, solution.
Yeah.
Here's the product. We're still working on that video for launch at this time.
Very cool.
You'll be seeing the video soon, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, man, that's kind of what we're doing.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining me on the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, filling in for Jim.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
So you're actually at the point where you've built the business. It's running itself. You can, work on the business in the truest sense of the phrase, because I have a big problem with that whole notion of you got to work on your business, not in it. And it's like, when you're starting a business, you don't have that luxury. You got to work in it until you get to work
definitely doing more on it than in it. Very little in it.
Right. Because it's such a value, especially with what you came up with, because it's like a backbone to these restaurants in a way, which is smart on your part, because now they can't live without it. Right. And it's, you're onboarding more and more and more and more. Do you take it out to trade shows? Is that part of your marketing?
Actually, it's at a low price point. It's tough to go to a trade show when you're picking up 1 or 2 units, but we're starting to get an enterprise space. So we're going to a trade show where restaurant chains go to see tech. Right. So we're doing our first show there.
Nice.
In the fall.
Like a 10-foot booth, 20-foot booth, or something 10 like that?
10 by.
Yeah. Because, you could probably, this is something that you can sponsor something and just be like an umbrella sponsor, and they go right to the website and there's an introductory level, and you know how to figure all that stuff out,
Exactly.
Yeah. So how can everybody find and follow you? Are you looking into maybe the thought leader, influencer type space? Because you certainly have enough to share and enough. You've got the
I used to do that before. I'm about to launch a podcast called Restaurant Catering Smarts.
Right on.
And going after the...
Are we talking about that, or you already got a guy?
I'm the guy. We can talk about it offline, or if you want to talk about it now, I'll tell you. Sure. We're going to be using AI.
Nice.
Have you seen the AI that does your video clips?
Yes, I use it. Yeah. Because it really helps me scale that.
Yeah. So we've got...
I still have to go into massage stuff, though.
Right. So what we'll do is we'll take the transcript, we'll highlight it. We got a team in the Philippines that can do anything.
Right.
And we'll say, pull this off, and then we'll load it to the social media. And I'm just going to do it via Zoom because I travel.
Right.
And then send it off and get it.
So they're going to produce your episodes and everything, intro, outro, put it all together.
My nephew won a voiceover competition. He's in college.
There you go.
And I I think I should send my sister the bill. I said, hey, if I write the intro script, would you do it for me? He goes, $50. And my sister goes, you probably could have gotten 100 out of him. And I sent him the music, the royalty-free music, because I've had this podcast before, barely got off the ground. And he's like, oh, I didn't see the music. It's 100 instead of 50. I'm like, dude, just to drop a track in, but okay, whatever. I'm hoping.
Well, you got to drop it in. You got to make sure it fits within the EQ and tonality and everything. That's what I tell people.
Whatever.
Something that for an intro, that's what I charge, about $250.
Dude, he works at a doggy daycare for probably $12 an hour. And he goes, the problem he made, he goes, oh, I'm about to get started on this. And it like was done in 20 minutes. He sends me the file like, optics, dude. Like, wait till tomorrow morning. Man, I worked on this all night.
Because he's beginning, right?
Yeah.
So like somebody like me, I would probably spend, well, hey, I ask the discovery questions, especially when it comes to voiceover. What kind of project is it? Am I producing it? Do you have somebody else producing it? Here's what it's like to work with me, that kind of thing. Even though you give me a 30-second script, you're probably going to get 5 iterations of it, and because of my experience, that's what you're paying for. It will take me 20 minutes, but you're not paying for my time. You're paying for my experience.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way I go about it. So
very cool.
Yeah. Well, right on, man. Where do people find and follow you? It's definitely
caterers.com. That's the best place.
That's the only one.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to do michaelattias.com at some point?
I think there's a jazz saxophonist, Michael Attias.
Yeah, I did see that.
He's got it. No, not really. I'm not looking to be famous.
Well, I mean, I call that concept planets versus moons. My business partner kind of not helped me, but I kind of stumbled across that concept. He said the same thing. He goes, because he's a business juggernaut. He's amazingly brilliant when it comes to business. This is the first real business he's building, so he's got a little bit of imposter syndrome. Doesn't want to be too public about what he believes because he's still testing it.
Right.
And I'm like, well, dude, you're still consulting with other businesses, and the proof has been in the pudding over the past 5 years with some of these businesses going, 5, 7, 8x, 10x what they were doing 5 years ago. So obviously what you're doing is working to a certain, extent.
Sure.
And I said, I love the fact that you're a reluctant social entrepreneur. And I kind of all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, that's a term,
Right.
He's got a TEDx booked already.
Wow.
He applied instantly. We'll do it.
Is that the guy I met when I walked in?
Yes. Yeah.
The guy working on the giant water slide.
Yep. He's big on culture. He loves to, make sure that we have a business that sustains people's lives, allows them margin for families and stuff like that. So has a really good heart for that. And he and I are very much aligned when it comes to that. But I said, look, dude, you have to share your knowledge with the world. I said, the beautiful thing is that you don't want the fame. That's okay. What falls out of your mouth will create the gravitational pull, the planet, and hopefully people will want to live on that planet. I said, there are too many people out there that pretend to be moons. They look really pretty and they vacillate and they have different phases and things of that nature, but there's nothing else really to them. There's not much substance to them. No gravitational pull. Just nice to look at, but that's about it. So that was like the whole concept I came up with. So
cool.
Yeah. Well, there you go, man. I appreciate you coming all the way out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And of course, check them out, caterers.com. If you're in the restaurant business, do we want to put out an affiliate here, like a discount or anything that they hear about? No, just go there and,
It's well worth what you're going to pay for it.
There you go.
If you see value, if you don't, we don't want you as a customer. No, seriously, we turn people down all the time. Yeah. I mean, we're here for the buyers, not the non-buyers.
There you go. If you run a restaurant, catering especially, make sure you check him out, caterers.com. Michael Attias, great second meeting with you. I appreciated it. And follow and follow us, find and follow us, and subscribe, rate, review. Let us know that you're listening, and share it with people that you know and love that could get some sort of value out of the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast at MMTBP.com. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, sir.